Hi everyone, Will here, and the purpose of this quick presentation is to capture the information behavior of indie authors and hobbyist writers for LIS 508 Information Users and Uses for Professor Vanscoy. The first takeaway I'd like to share is the open, vague nature of the creative personality, which, of course, is the personality shared by many in my user group. Now, here's a quick glimpse at the chaotic mind of a creative writer. One term that we often see when talking about these creative individuals is openness. And openness is the willingness to explore and the willingness to try out new ideas. Suffice it to say, the mind of a writer should generally be anti-positivist. The information behavior of independent authors varies greatly. For example, they write different genres, they use different locations, they publish in different formats, they draw from different cultures and histories, etc., etc. I've centered my work around generally shared needs. The information behavior of these writers is powered by the need to write, the need to publish, and the need to market. Since the user needs can be vague, I find Kuthau's model sufficiently flexible to address the information behavior of these independent authors and hobbyist writers. Now, this model works from uncertainty to satisfaction. And I've created three different tables. This table is for the task of writing and for finding the information for writing. The next one is for publishing, and the final table will be for marketing. So feel free to pause and have a deeper look at the way that I've filled this all out. But let's work through this writing one for the moment. So writers begin with an element of uncertainty and say, okay, it's time to write, but what the heck am I going to write? They decide on something, they find something, they have a eureka moment, and this topic's going to be great. I can't wait to do it. And then reality sets in. That's a terrible arrow, but there you go. Reality sets in, and oh, look, there's a lot of books that are just like mine, so why am I going to bother with this? Uh, but then the counterpoint arrives, and you're thinking, oh, but if there are so many books, at least there's a market for it. And that follows the logical question of, well, how do I set my book apart? How do I make my book unique? And once that answer is found, and of course, you can find these answers in many different ways. You can analyze, book markets, ebooks, blog posts, etc., etc., etc. And so you come up with your great idea. Oh, that sounds good. I have a plan, and I'm going to start typing. So here is the application of the model to publishing, and you feel free to pause and have a closer look. And marketing, which has its own set of pitfalls. Now, one thing that indie authors, hobbyist writers struggle with is information aversion. There's a dichotomy here between new and experienced indie writers. Newer writers generally take much more offense at criticism and will go through great pains to ignore it. And then there are the rejection letters from the publishers, the mediocre sales reports. There's a lot of bad news for indie writers every day. Plus, indie writers just don't have a lot of time, so they need to pick and choose where to prioritize their information behavior. On the other end of the spectrum, the more experienced indie authors, they understand that, criticism is productive, rejection letters can be productive, you can get good feedback from them. And, sales reports just tell you like, hey, look, you need to try something different. It would be interesting to chalk up the motivation for information searches to the reduction of uncertainty, and there's an element of truth to this, but there also seems to be a deeper, more physical drive at work. Many writers have to write. Some would argue that this is the prerequisite to accepting the label. It makes sense to me since I know many of these indie authors who have had next to no success and they keep writing anyway. So, thanks for listening to my quick overview of the information behavior of hobbyist writers and independent authors. I look forward to your criticism, and I'll be checking out your presentations as well. So, thank you, and I'll see you in a little bit.